Will California lead the way to a free and fair and open internet? Evan Greer from Fight for the Future joins us. Check it out. Leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Thom Hartmann Program on the line with us, our old friend Evan Greer, Deputy Director of FightForTheFuture.org. Fight for the FTR is the Twitter handle for Evan. Evan, welcome back. Tell us about how California got net neutrality and what the fate of that legislation or that net neutrality is and in all probability will be.
Yeah, sure thing, Tom. Great to be back on the program, and always nice to be here when we can actually celebrate a victory for the public interest, which is what this court decision in California is. So to take viewers, listeners back, folks probably remember that the Trump administration's FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, cruelly and ridiculously repealed the net neutrality protections that millions of people from across the political spectrum fought for. These are the basic rules that prevent companies like Comcast, Verizon, and AT&T from abusing their monopoly power to control what we can see and do on the internet. After those rules were repealed at the federal level, many states sprang into action, with California passing what is seen as the gold standard, strongest net neutrality law in the country, SB 822. And it's worth noting that the cable companies spent more than $6 million lobbying against that legislation, and we beat them. A grassroots coalition of organizations on California from across the country came together, fought for, and got that legislation overwhelmingly passed. So then the cable companies sent their lawyers in and filed a lawsuit trying to block the law from going into effect. The Trump administration's DOJ piled onto that lawsuit. With the new administration, the DOJ withdrew their support for that lawsuit, and just yesterday, a federal judge in California eviscerated the cable company's argument, basically saying, look, if the FCC says they don't have the authority to regulate broadband, then you can't prevent states from doing it too. So this really paves the way, not just for other states to follow in California's footsteps and put their own protections into place, but really changes the game at the federal level, makes it much more likely that we can get strong net neutrality rules back in place for everybody in the country sometime in the next couple of years.
Would that mean, well, first of all, is this the end of the road judicially? I mean, are they going to appeal this to the full federal appeals court, and then are they going to appeal to the Supreme Court? And then secondly, does this mean that California, with regard to broadband, can basically do the same thing they did with regard to tailpipe emissions back in the day, establish the standard for the country, and it's just so much hassle for individual companies to have California users versus everybody else that it just becomes the de facto national standard?
That's exactly right. So to answer your first question, no, it's not the end of the road. ISP lawyers get paid by the hour, so I'm sure they will be filing an appeal here. But the decision that came down yesterday strongly suggests that they are very unlikely to prevail. So I think that'll be largely an exercise in futility from the ISP's point. If they want to waste more of their money fighting us in court, they can go ahead. But it seems very likely that the California law will be going into effect sometime in the near future. And to your point, California is an enormous state, one of the largest economies in the world. And so having this law on the books in California will, I think, in the interim become sort of a de facto protection for the nation because, as you said, ISPs are unlikely to want to have to comply with this law in California and not do the same everywhere else. But that said, I think, again, it's absolutely essential that the Biden administration appoints someone to the FCC, someone who does not have ties to the telecom industry, as the last two chair people have, and someone who's going to be a champion for the public interest, so that we can get these rules back in place at the federal level to make sure that everyone is protected.
Great news, Evan. Which raises the question: what's next, and what do people who might be listening or watching need to be doing moving forward to try to get net neutrality? And what's the status of the FCC right now? And the Biden administration's hopefully their attempts to replace Ajit Pai with somebody who's pro net neutrality.
Yeah, so there's been a number of news articles in recent weeks that suggest that there are a few folks in the running for that final commissioner position at the FCC. And then once that position is filled, the administration can decide either to elevate Jessica Rosenworcel, who's the current acting chair, to become the chair, or whoever this new person is. And so really, it's essential that everyone takes action, contacts the administration, and specifically has this message. You know, we definitely want them to act quickly and prioritize this. Obviously, this administration has a lot of priorities, quite a bit on their plate, dealing with the pandemic, et cetera. So I think it's really important that we make it clear that having a functioning FCC is essential for our pandemic response. This is the agency that is supposed to protect the public from telecom monopolies during a time when kids are going to school online, people are working from home. The internet is critical infrastructure right now. We need a functioning FCC. So you can go to battleforthenet.com. That's kind of our hub site where we always keep it up to date with whatever the latest, most important action you can take on net neutrality is. We're going to be updating that in the next couple of days to specifically be calling on the administration to put someone in as the chair of the FCC who has no ties to the telecom industry and is going to fight for the public interest, fight to protect people's right to connect to a free and open internet affordably, should be accessible to everyone. It's a basic human right.